Okay, on the podcast today, Labor's capital gains tax policy is leaked. My question, what's the point? Two policies, two fizzes, and has Chris Hipkins just lost Labour the election? And the Māori Pāti breaks up. This is rest in peace, R.I.P. The movement that promised the world packs up shop. So, Christopher Luxon, now's your time to drive home the advantage. Christopher. Chris, hello? Let's go.
Are we paying these people to front up, or are we paying them to fly to Wellington to eat their lunch? Should you really lose your career for refusing to take part in a 90-minute lesson about Māori culture? This government doesn't actually have any idea how to get economic growth. Show us what you made of, Prime Minister.
Editor-in-Chief with Duncan Garner.
Duncan Garner, Editor-in-Chief, proudly sponsored by the Brothers Green. Unlock the innate power of New Zealand botanicals to support your mobility. Try the Brothers Green New Zealand Move Joint Support Tonic and join over 20,000 other Kiwis experiencing easier movement. For as little as $1 a day, you too can experience the power of New Zealand hemp seed oil for your joint health. Head to brothersgreen.co and use code DG20 at the checkout for 20% off your first order. It's a good one. Always read the label. Take as directed. Supplementary, of course, to a balanced diet. The Brothers Green, Christchurch. Okay, g'day and good evening. Welcome to the podcast. I'm Duncan Garner and you're with the Editor-in-Chief. Nice to see you. Nice to have you here. And please subscribe. And thank you to the Brothers Green. If you send my name, text my name to 3598, that will send you a link back and that gets you extra content for $7.99 a month. For $7.99 a month, you'll get bonus episodes, more content, ask me anything, question and answer sessions, the whole thing. So please join up. Please keep us here. You'll be joining Team Duncan, joining our mission, and you'll be getting media as it should be, down the barrel, to the point. None of this sort of chunk that you see elsewhere. Right, is this the day that the centre-left just kissed goodbye any chances of governing? Labour's capital gains tax, not only was it leaked, which shows me that they're unhappy with Hipkins, to tell the truth, but it's a fizzer. And on top of last week's future fund, the party's never gone backwards so quickly. Two empty promises dressed up as the answer. Kiwi Bill 2 and 3, isn't it? And the state tangi of Te Pāti Māori is underway. I have all the details. My panel will join me shortly, Ashley Church and Rawdon Christie, so let's go.
It's the Slam Dunk.
Okay, you can smell the chaos, can't you? A mile off. And when you can smell chaos this strong, you're looking death right in the eye. Te Pāti Māori isn't just wobbling, it's in its death rattle. None of this is being done in private. This is a full public meltdown, and this time, it has no one else to blame but itself. Make no mistake, folks. These are the last dying days of Te Pāti Māori as we know it. Its MPs are divorcing the movement or being kicked out. It's over from here. It's a bunch of irrelevant independents from here. Two co-leaders as well who have been politically tasered, and the President, John Tamahiti, is the chief sitting on top of this entire mess. Māori voters aren't going to vote for this. Why would they? They want bang for their buck when they vote. And this lot just exploded in their face like some teenagers messing around with fireworks. Voters had to hate dissent and they hate infighting. This is not the fault of colonisation. This is chaos. It's homegrown chaos. This is not the fault of Pākehā. This implosion is self-inflicted by Māori, for Māori. This party was always on a collision course with itself. It got up every morning and spent more time in front of the full-length mirror than it spent actually being constructive in Parliament. It was an odd assortment of activists and loudmouths who spent more time on how they looked each day than on the hard mahi and doing the right thing by their people. I can't name one thing that they've done to better the lives of ordinary Māori. You tell me. In short, they've taken Parliament to new lows on all fronts. They were a home for the young and the loud and the deluded, the haters and the wreckers, and the truly deluded. They were home to the honi come latelys, university educated, armed with a degree in activism, and rather than stand for something, they had to show people what they stood for, with T-shirts that bore their message. They were showy. They were followers. They were angry, but sadly lacking in the degree of life, which teaches you can't win everything. You've got to be reasonable and respectful. You've got to engage with genuine intent. And no dickheads, please. They failed that test big time. They also failed to understand that we all live here. Their racism was despicable and an affront to all of us, no matter what our background. But they were also a home for Māori who felt disowned and disengaged and disowned by the big old parties. That they were basically a home for those people who felt dispossessed and powerless, like they've missed the economic train of the last 30 years. Those people truly thought Te Pāti Māori had arrived, and joining their waka would take them on a ride to nirvana. Sadly, it's dropped them off at a place called the Bridge to Nowhere. The promises were empty, the talk seemed good, but in the end it was cheap. It was hollow because Te Pāti Māori were a collection of out-of-control egos with no shared vision. And wherever it was that they saw themselves going, they had no plan how to get there and what it looked like and what they were aiming for. Māori voters handed them a real chance, and in short, and this is blunt and brutal, they stuffed it up big time. They messed up. Their big mistake was their complete ignorance on how they were viewed by the rest of the electorate. Their lack of humility was embarrassing. Now, the Māori I know are on the whole respectful and pretty humble people. This lot was a sham pumped up by their own self-belief and self-importance. They had so much of it they should bottle it up and attempt to sell it. Sadly, their own confidence in the mission was not matched by hard work and a plan. I've never in my life seen a bunch of politicians who so willfully held their own country and its fellow citizens in such blatant disregard. Their brand of politics was toxic and divisive. And people like Chris Hipkins saw it all far too late. And the fact he's still entertaining them as a potential coalition support partner is ridiculous. This is the best example of the last dance of the desperates I've ever seen. Their racism should rule them out, and Hipkins looks pathetic for hanging on to them, desperate, for wanting to dine out on their division. Shame on you, Chris. Te Pāti Māori, the movement that promised to speak for all Māori, is now too busy tearing itself apart to speak for anyone at all. Maramino Kapakingi, the MP for Te Tai Tokerau, is about to get the boot. That's what it's all about. Her own party's moving to suspend her. The knives are out. And the backroom gossip is uglier than a badly run hui. We've got leaks everywhere, accusations and a full-blown civil war. This is political cannibalism, and it's happening in real time. Voters hate this stuff. They really hate it. You can have the best policies in the world, but when you're at war with yourselves and with each other and your own team, you're finished. Look at the history books. The public hates this stuff. They punish disunity every time. Ask Labour 2023. Ask National under Simon Bridges. When the headlines are about who stabbed who in the back, not what you're doing for other people, then you're toast. You're political toast. And let's be really honest about this. This isn't just a little misunderstanding. This is a party meltdown. You've got Kapakingi accused of serious breaches, her son calling the party a dictatorship, and another MP, Taku Te Whereas, apparently offside with the leadership as well. That's not internal debate, it's civil war with a pui. And at the centre of all this, John Tamahiti. The man's been running Te Pāti Māori like his own vanity project. The same JT big show, big personality, big talk and leadership style that seems to have rubbed just about everybody up the wrong way. Big time. He's the president, the strategist, the enforcer, the whole shebang. But when everything revolves around one man's ego, the wheels always fall off, and here they are. Tamahiti's dream was to turn Te Pāti Māori into a powerhouse, a real movement for Māori power and self-determination, tino tanga. But right now it looks like a fiefdom. The rank and file feel unheard, the MPs are restless, and the leadership's gone bunker mode. They said they'd be open, they haven't been. That's not a movement, that's a meltdown. They promised a reset, now the voters will tick reject. And voters see through all of this. Māori voters are some of the savviest in the country. They don't fall for spin. They want action and results and unity. They want mana, not mayhem. What they're getting instead is an internal scrap that makes the All Black coaching outfit look well-oiled and organised. And on it. Let's call it. This is the end of Te Pāti Māori as we know it. You can't build a movement on dysfunction, and you can't inspire a group of people when your own people don't trust you. Once the cracks appear, they don't heal. We've seen this before, I've seen it many times, and they widen. So by the next election, the Māori seats will be wide open again. If Kapakingi runs as an independent, and what about Whereas as well, they'll split the vote. If Whereas walks, it's another blow. And the leadership, well, they'll blame everyone but themselves. They always do. This should have been Te Pāti Māori's moment. A chance to turn Māori momentum into real political muscle. Instead, they've turned their movement into a mess. So here's my slam dunk, the big one on it. Te Pāti Māori promised to change the system. Instead, they became it, full of egos, infighting, and excuses. And when you spend more time knifing your own than fighting for your people, the voters will do the knifing for you at the ballot box. You can hear the death rattle in every headline. The movement that promised to break the system has become just another broken party in the system, a cocktail of chaos and control. The energy that once filled marae and marches is gone, replaced by the finger-pointing and the fear. The truth is this is how parties die. Not with dignity, but in denial. Te Pāti Māori's problem isn't policy. They haven't got any of that. It's pride. And when pride takes over, when pride takes over purpose, voters pull the plug. They've seen this movie before, and so have I, and they know how it ends. We've all seen it. The chaos is real. The death rattle is loud and clear. And when the voters walk away, they'll leave nothing but silent.
Editor-in-Chief with Duncan Garner.
We've all been there, right? Come home from a long day at work, sit down and then get the inevitable what's for dinner. Being too tired to cook or even drive to the shop, Uber One is your answer. Joining Uber One gives you $0 delivery fee on eligible orders, 5% Uber credit on all rides, and exclusive offers through Uber, Uber Eats, and their partners. And if you sign up before the end of the year, you'll also get $10 off Uber cashback. Wow, that's pretty good, isn't it? Join Uber One today and start reaping the benefits. It ends December 31st. T's and C's, a minimum spend and fees apply. Okay, there's so much to discuss here. We'll talk about Kapapingi shortly. I want to focus in on Labour's leaked capital gains tax idea as well. We'll have a chat about Te Pāti Māori collapse, also the Waitangi Tribunal as well, and what Luxon must do. Surely Luxon can nail it from here. When you've got these clowns and muppets in charge on the left, then surely Luxon has to go above 30% at some stage. If he can't, you've got to replace him. I know everyone says you can't do that to a Prime Minister in an election year. What are you waiting for? If he can't nail it from here, we've got a problem. Rawdon Christie and Ashley Church are with us now, guys. G'day, nice to see you.
Hello, good to see you, boys. How are you?
Very good, mate.
Yeah, good, mate. Apparently the weather's not so hot up there in Auckland.
No,
it's beautiful out there at the moment.
Yeah.
Oh, no, it's not. Oh, yes, it is. No, it's not.
I've been alive now for 51 years, and never once in my life, and I spent half that time in Auckland, never once have I been stopped on the Harbour Bridge because it's closed because of wind. Today, it was closed for wind, and it's just chaotic.
That's because you bought a truck, probably.
Second harbour crossing. Harbour crossing.
Well, put a tunnel in, and what's going to happen? You won't get closed. You get closed for leaks, then, won't you?
Or the tunnel will collapse or something.
God, don't be so grim.
Oh, that's good. That's a really good, positive-minded way of starting today,
yes.
guys.
Yes. Oh, if you can't go over the bridge, then you'll drown in the tunnel. Well, that's great. What's next? Anyway, let's kick it off. Actually, Labour Party, they've had their capital gains tax policy leaked, and Hipkins says we're going to get that person and we're going to oust them from the party. I've always thought that leaks like this happen because there's concern of the leadership, and this is how it all starts. Happened with Goff, it happened with Shearer, just like this. First things first, though, the policy itself, what do you make of it? You're a housing expert.
Oh, I love this policy. Not because I want it to happen, but because the fact that Labor's saying it, this is exactly what National needs right now.
Yeah.
So the problem we've had over the last couple of years is that Labor haven't said anything. And so by dint of the fact they haven't said anything, that their support's been going up. Finally, they're back to type. They're back to tax and spend, which is who they are. They're a party of control. They're a party that believes in big state. And in order to fund a big state, a socialist big state, you've got to have money. So you tax whoever you can. What's interesting about this, because he's trying to pitch it as being responsible. I don't know if you guys remember, but just prior to the 2017 election, back before Winston did his thing with Jacinda, there was a press conference sit down with James Shaw and Grant Robertson. And if you remember at the time, it was about 6 months out from the election, and they were trying to present themselves as being credible economically.
Yes.
And so they presented this draft budget, and it was all designed because they knew that they were weak on the economy, and they wanted to present the image that somehow they were going to be responsible. And of course, they got into government, and that all went out the window. This is kind of the same thing. On the one hand, Hipkins is trying to appeal to that part of his support and his electorate that want a wealth tax or whatever you want to call it. And then on the other side, he's wanting to appear to be responsible, which is where this idea of spending it on three free GP visits per year comes from. So basically what he's saying is, hey, there's not a need for this tax now, but we've invented one over here. Look, it is completely irresponsible. It's more theft. It's basically a message for more theft. It will appeal to a small section of the electorate, but overall, wherever you sit on the political spectrum, Kiwis hate capital gains taxes. Whether you call it a wealth tax, whether you call it a land tax, whether you call it a capital gains tax, Kiwis hate capital gains tax. Bring it on, keep talking about it.
It's taboo. I reckon it's one of those things you can't touch. Yep. And as soon as you mention it, you go like this. Especially one, Rawdon, that is so narrow. This is so narrow, and there's not that much activity in the market. People will just hold on to their secondary properties. It won't happen.
And here's the reality, that if New Zealanders right now really think that property investment is their road to extraordinary riches after what's happened over the last 2 or 3 years, they are sorely wrong. We've almost rebalanced this entirely. I want to come back, though, to the timing, because I think I said this a couple of weeks ago. I said, as long as Labour keeps their mouth shut, they can do no wrong. Well, guess what? Now we're beginning to see some meat and veg on the table, and it's going horribly wrong for them. So, and of course, alluding to as you mentioned, the fact that this has been leaked. So I think what we're now seeing is possibly the real beginning to potentially a very long run into the election. I think we've now seen a lot of colours being revealed by Labour, and I just will be fascinated to see how National reacts. Last week, we were talking about Luxon wanting to benefit from appealing against his CV on the property to save, 30 quid a week or whatever. Now we're seeing real meat and veg, and that's what fascinates me about this. My other concern here is it's all very well and good talking about the CGT and how narrow this is and how much people really don't like this. If I was a GP, I'll be booking my seat out of here by 2027 because, my God, the pressure. If this ever happened, how the heck will we service this? It's just from that perspective, it's almost unserviceable.
In fact, Nicola Willis came out almost immediately, Rawdon, and said exactly that. She said the issue we've got with the health system at the moment isn't the subsidisation of doctors' visits. It's the fact that we don't have enough doctors' visits to get into a doctor now. So all this would do is make that even worse. It completely misunderstands the problem. It demonstrates that Labor misunderstand the problem, and it does the same thing that Labor always do. They come out with a policy that's half-cocked. They haven't thought through properly. And scare the horses. Good stuff. Keep it going. Have more like this.
This is not even half-cocked. This, to me, is, and we got the first early warning signs 10 years ago from Phil Twyford with Kiwi Build. And I was there. I was asking him these questions every day. I thought, great policy, great policy. But then I started to think, where's the rest of it? And it was a slogan. And these policies are not even that. They're half slogans. Rawdon, they're not thought through. They don't stack up. Even the economists today are all saying, well, where's all the detail? Like, this is pathetic. This is Kiwi Build 1, right. Kiwi Build 2 and Kiwi Build 3 all in one.
Yep. And that's you fully cocked there, Duncan.
Yep.
Nice to see.
Yeah.
On the subject of detail, I don't know, did I miss it? Did they actually give us a costing for this? Because from my understanding, the cost of implementing a CGT, even if it was a wide-ranging one, would almost blinker the actual return it could bring.
Well, you don't get return for 10 years. The first time I covered Labor's capital gains tax was at the stadium when Stu Nash was actually part of the Labor Party. This was probably 10 years ago. And it was 10 years until we saw the first dollar.
Yeah, I've been having a crack at National over the last couple of months about the fact that these things that they're putting in place, most of which are actually pretty sensible, have got this long implementation period before it's well beyond the electoral horizon where you see any benefit. This, according to every economist who talks about a CGT, this is way worse, as you say, 7 to 10 years before you see a dollar come through the door. Long after Labor, if they got into power, would be back out of power again. It's just nonsense. It's political game playing with a small portion of the electorate who love this stuff and want to see it happen versus the rest of us who are saying don't want to borrow it.
But it was leaked, Rawdon. It was leaked. Now, my experience in Parliament is when something's leaked like this, someone's unhappy. And someone's unhappy, that means they're unhappy with Hipkins, and this is how it starts.
And meanwhile, of course, we're seeing potential coalition partners are not exactly lining up to offer us a viable alternative to work with Labour either, which I know we'll probably talk about very shortly. My final point on this announcement by Hipkins today was the fact that the free doctors' visits are not means tested as well. So again, it's sort of, I think, misreading the very people who you're trying to appeal to. Great. I'd love free doctor's visits. I'd love my whānau. I'd love my kids and my wife to get them. Does that mean I would change my vote? Probably not, but I'd look forward to saving my few $100s a year.
Yeah, look, I got sick this year, and I actually went to the GP after I'd been in hospital, and there were 29 people in the waiting room at 8 o'clock when I got there. Those are the people that got into the waiting room. Wow. They were the people that got in.
By the way, you're quite right, Rawdon. So the idea of it is this idea that Labor has always had and always will have of universalism. It's this idea that you take from the very wealthy, or the so-called very wealthy, if such a person exists in New Zealand, in order to spread it out amongst the hoi polloi. And the problem with that is that most tax is paid for by, while it is paid for by those wealthier people, most of us recognise that that's an unfair burden, and that's the last thing that we would want to see happen. There's a sense in this country of fairness, I think, and there's a sense of recognising when something is unfair, and that's the Achilles heel that Labor have always got, that they distrust the average Kiwi, and they distrust our ability to actually see to give people a fair go.
Yeah. No, this is a massive white elephant. I wonder if Hipkins' leadership comes under question now, because you've had 3 policies released in the past 2 weeks. One of them leaked, the other one released without Hipkins knowing about it, and then the one that he was involved with, no details. You've got to start questioning, if that's your leader, and if this is your vision, I think he's looking shaky, Rawdon.
I just found it extraordinary. I watched Nicola Willis or listened to her on RNZ this morning, and then 3 hours later, I'm watching the policy announcement, or 4 hours later by Hipkins. It was just actually hilarious watching the announcement when everyone knew everything which was going to be in the announcement.
Yeah.
I mean, I mean, from an entertainment perspective, I'd love to see this carry on for the next 12 months, where we get response and annihilation of policy before we actually get the wonderful. I'm standing here proudly with my henchmen on either side, telling you exactly how we're going to change the country.
Well,
I love it.
I was joking last week that the Greens would fail to turn up to their own funeral because they were late for the Parliament. Well, maybe it hasn't turned up for its own policy. Well, they turned up 3 hours later after it was released. I mean, you can't make it up.
Yeah.
Luxon's got to drive this home, doesn't he?
Well, you would hope. You would hope that he will. The problem I've got at the moment is he hasn't demonstrated over the last couple of years that he's even capable of capitalising on this stuff. In fact, they've scored a couple of own goals over the last couple of months. You know, I talked last week, I think, with you guys about there's been a suggestion that they should put a cap on rates at the rate of inflation. Haven't done it. Don't know why. Maybe there's a reason, but they haven't explained it to us. And then there was this thing last week with the Broadcasting Standards Authority. I kept saying association last week.
It's
Broadcasting
association.
Standards Authority. Yeah. Where they should have immediately jumped on it because most of the country recognised that it was overreach. And what have we've got? We've got Goldsmith coming out saying actually maybe it's a good idea. So they keep falling over their own feet. I hope that this is a sign that there's a turn taking place, that Luxon, that is senior ministers will grab this stuff, because every time Labor opens their mouth, it's another mistake. I hope they grab it, and I hope they turn it, and I hope they turn the screw, and that it actually starts to show up in the polls, and we have a clearer result for next year. But I'm not convinced yet that's going to happen.
Yeah, I will come back to those small signs. Like this morning, watching Nicola Willis. We saw a senior minister on the offensive for the first time, I think, in quite a long time on a major policy area, rather than again sitting on the defensive. So, as you say, if this is potentially the sort of the line in the sand where we start seeing the momentum shift change, we're in for a really interesting few months. Yeah,
if I was Luxon, I think he's overseas, isn't he? But I'd grab the cameras and get them in front of me, and I'd say, look, I haven't got much to say. It's been a tough time, as you know, all economically, but I'm sorry. What's on offer at home is the Muppet Show. And they're all drowning in their own egos, in their own personalities, and their lack of policy. Their policy is vacuous. I've got nothing more to say. New Zealanders, have them at your peril, but I know which way I'd go. Next question, please. I would just make it short, sweet, and smack them, because they've been way worse than I thought, the left in the last couple of weeks. And I handed it out to both sides.
Wonderful.
I know you're loving it, aren't you, Ashley? This is great. You can sit back, look at it. You're loving it. Okay, so what about this? What about the Waitangi Tribunal? They've come out. Speaking of the deluded, and they think they're an army and a government to themselves. Yet they're just an advisory board, really. I'm so glad it's not binding. But they've said the government has breached the treaty, and that they should overturn all their policy, which has taken Māori words away from government or whatever. And this is doing an absolute breach, and they should overturn it immediately. Rawdon?
So I'm not going to give too much heed as to whether they have any rights or authority to initiate any sort of court proceedings against the government on the fact they may have breached the understanding which was made when they came to government. But looking at this from a slightly wider perspective, what I find so sad is I think we, as a country and as a community, as a nation, have done incredible things over the last 15, 20 years as far as trying to re-establish some sort of belonging and place and pride in te reo and the Māori culture beyond that. And I think it's fantastic. Unfortunately, what we're seeing at the moment is, and we've seen this for the last, I suppose, sort of 3 or 4 years maybe, is so much of that work is becoming undone by certain factions wanting automatic change. This has got to be done softly. It's got to be done slowly. I don't think today will make any difference at all, but maybe it's just an example of where the speed at which some people want this to change, for te reo to become established as not just a second language, but almost a primary language, is far, far too fast. And we're now running risk of actually achieving, we're running risk of knocking on the head what we have achieved over the last, I'd say, 15, 20 years.
I think you're right. If you stuff it down people's throats, Ashley, you're going to get pushed back.
Well, I'm pretty much the same as Rawdon. I mean, I'm one of these people that would happily have te reo compulsory for kids up to about year 6. In the same way that they have Welsh in Wales is just, part and parcel of our culture that our kids should learn and they should understand. It's the speed and the force and the ferocity with which it's being done By the way, I understood. I might be wrong. I understood. I don't think that the coalition agreement talked about getting rid of today and government departments. It was about the priority that it was given, and I think
switching.
I think it was a New Zealand first.
Yep.
Yeah, I think it was about switching it around. So that alone suggests that the Waitangi Commission is out of touch. But look, tribunal, sorry. But let's look at the Waitangi Tribunal. This is not the Waitangi Tribunal of 20 years ago. This is not the Waitangi Tribunal that was a balanced, important part in our social structure, just as Rawdon's indicated, and which was part and parcel of that process of remedying and remediating some of those historical wrongs that were really important that we as a country did. It's morphed over the last 10 or so years and basically into an activist group. It's a group that we can pretty much ignore. Its rulings aren't binding, and the only reason I think that the government hasn't got rid of it is because that would just create a whole set of new problems. So if they're wise, they'll nod politely, ignore this, and carry on.
The more extreme they become, the more extreme they have become, and the more they're ignored. They're almost like this voice in the wilderness. Maremeno Kapakingi, the Māori Pāti MP for Taitokerau in the north, it seems pretty clear that they're going to suspend her or expel her today or this week. It's a really sad end to a party that promised so much, but now you're seeing the split, Rawdon. So this is a party now that's splitting. There'll be Takuta Ferris as well has indicated that he might not hang around. They're in their, they're individuals in their seats. It means that they can still sit there. They can't get rid of them, so they become independents. It is a wholehearted mess, isn't it?
As soon as you start talking about the independents, you're right. So you're right. They're elected so they can sit in their seats. They will, I'm sure, be thinking about what can we replace Te Pāti Māori with, because they'll want to create some sort of they want to create themselves a future after next year. So you're right. This has surely got to be. Mind you, we've talked about this every week for the last few weeks. Is this the bell now tolling for the end of Te Pāti Māori as it exists? I'd say so.
Yeah, I certainly think so, Ashley. I mean, I think when you split like this, I saw this with New Zealand First. Remember, it came Māori Pacific. Some went that way, some went the other way. It's a disaster.
Well, even more recent than that, the Māori Party, which was essentially a centre-right party, and the Mana Party, which under Harawira, which was essentially a left-wing party. So it's in relatively recent times we've seen this split, which, by the way, I think is really healthy, because Māori are not a homogenous group who all vote the same way. I think the same way. Yeah. They vote and think differently. I think it's really healthy to have different views within that, just as there is within the broader electorate. Yeah. But the other thing is, Rawdon's quite right. The last couple of months, what have we been doing? Every week we come along and we see the latest poll and we worry. We wring our hands because we're concerned that the left look like they can form a government, and then what happens? Right on cue. I think you've got more influence than you thought you did, Duncan. Right on cue, Labor comes out, announces a CGT policy. Fantastic.
Bang.
Tick one, and then out comes the Māori Party falling apart. Tick two. All I'm waiting now is to see what Chloe does this week, just to make a trifecta.
Oh no,
fantastic.
Don't worry about that. No, the trifecta's already come through. The Greens are not turning up.
Yeah, we've had the Greens. They kicked it off by being late to something. And Chloe, I think, Chloe did ahead of last time by not coming back to Parliament. Remember that? So they were dosed a long time ago, and they had that bloody
wonderful stuff,
stranger weirdo.
Wonderful stuff.
So if you look at these guys, this is a John Tamahiti fiefdom, and you've got the co-leaders who are deluded. Their brand of racism was toxic, and they get what they deserve, in my view. You look in the full-length mirror, that's responsible, not colonisation. There we go. I think they're fully cocked as well, Rawdon.
Absolutely, and I would say that if we're going to start debating the issue of trying to establish te reo within our society as mainstream as we possibly can, don't start blaming it on a few government departments wanting to switch names around. Start blaming it on a highly divisive activist party, which is basically turning a lot of people off, turning us green on the idea. Yeah, green, so not as in the party, but as in the colour.
And also, if you're going to introduce it into the education system, which, by the way, I support, don't bring along with that the religious aspects of it. So don't at the same time as you're abolishing Christianity within society, Christianity, which is essentially established the basis of the modern society on which we live, and replace it with another form of religion in the form of Māori culture. So the language, by all means, not the other baggage that goes. But
also, don't piss on your own fellow countrymen and women. Don't disrespect the other people who we don't have anywhere else to go. And I'm really strong on this. We don't have anywhere else to go. This is our place too. So we can live side by side in harmony, or we can choose the division. And the division is the worst route because it will not end well.
Hang on.
And they disrespect us.
Got to find my violin. Got to find my
Yeah,
violin.
exactly.
Right, go.
So, but they showed a huge amount of disrespect to Pākehā New Zealanders. That I thought this year, and people are rolling their eyes in the street over this stuff.
We agree. I think we agree.
Yes.
Yeah,
Well, I thought we were all politicians with Alzheimer's there, which all doing was nodding. I reckon yes. So that's the if Lux International can't make a meal of this, I'll finish off with this stuff. Then they really do need to look at a change in leadership. I mean, if I was Luxon today, I would grab this. Don't waste another second. This is the most important thing for you to do today. Remind New Zealanders and put a full stop under it.
And it'll be interesting to see who does react from a leadership perspective first, whether we actually see his coalition partners stand up and start really using this to try and create some sort of momentum against Labour. And I appreciate the fact, as you say, Luxon may not be in the country, but he really has to front foot this one and really show that he's going to boss.
And here's the other aspect of this, I guess, that I find concerning: the fact that, because we've been talking about this for weeks, the national stuff, and now, and we've been talking about the fact that when Labor came up with policy, which they've finally done, hopefully it would backfire on them. But during a normal electoral cycle in the first term of a government, the media would only be paying this attention out of politeness and purely because there was sort of some salacious interest in it, because everybody would know that governments in New Zealand do more than one term. Everybody would know that it wasn't really relevant because this government will be elected for a second term or potentially a third. At the moment, all of us are seriously considering the prospect of a centre-left government because of the way that Luxon's been performing over the last couple of years. So that in itself should concern us. So what's happened now? Hipkins and Te Pāti Māori and indeed the Green Party have given him manna from heaven. They've delivered it up an opportunity for him to turn those polls around and to demonstrate to the country that he is indeed the man for the job, that we've misjudged him, and that over the next 12 months he's going to put the National Party up above, well above the opposition, and make it very clear that there is no credible alternative, at least for the next 3 years. Whether he will grab that nettle and take advantage of it, I guess we'll find out over the next little while. But I'm just concerned. I don't think they can change him. It's too late. I'm concerned that he doesn't have the ability to do what needs to be done over the next 12 months. Having said all of that, finish with this: they're still going to win the election simply because the other side's such a mess.
Yeah, so imagine this morning if we'd actually seen the government change their plan on who fronts the beginning of the week media, and Luxon had appeared. Meanwhile, you've got Chris Hipkins, who's declined to appear. Yep. That, to me, would have spoken volumes in sending a message saying, you may not have rated me to this point, but now compare me with your opposition leader who genuinely is in control. That's my thought on this morning. Having said that, I thought Nicola Willis did a good job.
Apples with apples. You've been comparing this guy who said nothing and stands for nothing. Now they stand for something. You can realise now you can do your comparisons. We are building the motorway north. The motorway was shut today. That will happen under Labor more often because they don't want a second harbour crossing. We do. We're building it. We're doing the exploratory work at the moment. That's where National can go strong on, because they actually are trying to build things and fast track things, Ashley.
Oh, totally. And all these guys need to do now. So they've done all the basis. I'm going to sound like a hypocrite given what I just said, but I believe this. They've put in place over the last couple of years some really good fundamental stuff. Most of it's stuff that won't show up in this first term. It's going to take 5, 6, 7 years before we see the benefits of it. But it's stuff that had to happen. And by the way, it's stuff that national governments are good at doing. Labor is not good at doing long-term stuff. Labor's good at the stuff that gets interest in the short term in order to get them elected. And is about appealing to the electorate. National's good at doing stuff that actually fix the economy over the long haul. But now they need to turn that around. Not turn that around. They need to turn around the perception that the country has of them and actually demonstrate that not only have they done this stuff, but they actually understand the politics of the situation as well. By the way, just something I should have said at the beginning, it's really important. When Labor announced this policy, or inadvertently because it was leaked yesterday or this morning, if they had come out and said, and the reason I'm saying this is because it relates to what I just said about National, if they had come out and said, we want to raise this additional tax because we want to get the debt down faster. In other words, we recognise that the debt's too high and we want to pay debt off faster, so we're going to have a capital gains tax to enable us to do that. I still wouldn't have been happy, but I could have understood the rationale behind it. No suggestion on any of this that they're going to get the debt down. So what does that tell you? It tells that they're going to continue to do what they did in that last 6 years, which is spend and spend and spend to get that debt even further.
Sort of thing Callum would have said. Michael Callum would have said we'll get the debt down, because he did. Rod, you want to say something?
Well, I was only going to quickly say that is this them coming back and they've shot themselves in the foot by saying that they will allocate any tax income to specific
you don't
policy.
even do that, though.
So
That's
already,
bullshit.
I mean, they created themselves, that they created a rod for their own back by trying to, in principle, appear as the higher authority. And I just think you're absolutely right. Let's just keep it really simple.
Yeah.
We need to create income in order to pay off debt.
Yeah.
Which is something the National Party has been so good at in the past, ramming home that message consistently.
And it's bullshit to say that we'll raise taxes and then you raise this tax and you can get some doctor's visits as a result. Well, if they raise no money, you all get sick and die then. Is that the flip side?
Let's be blunter. We'll raise money by stealing it from people, and then we'll look for something to spend it on. That's basically what they're saying. We're gonna steal some more money off you, and then we're gonna look around and see if we can see something to spend.
Can I finish?
It's not as if they're indicating a need.
No, exactly. Can I finish this by saying I've got this new addiction, and I'm seeking help for it, but it's a ride-on mower. I can't get off the bloody thing. I mean, I honestly, actually, you've got one here now. Have you got one, Rawdon, at the holiday house?
No, but Duncan, that's why they closed the bloody bridge, okay? You're not allowed on a mower on the bridge. It had nothing to do with the weather.
Mate, I have to say, I inherited one with this house about 5 years ago, and I don't think I'd ever mowed a lawn in my life. I think if I had, I don't remember it. I ride this thing around now. I looked at the lawn to see if it's growing enough that I can mow it. I love it. Seriously, it's cathartic. It's therapeutic. I love it. I get out there whenever I can. I sit on this thing. I've got the headphones on. I think away. It's fantastic. I'm with you.
No one can get hold of you because it's too noisy. You've got headphones on, whatever you got on. So no one can get hold of you. No one can yell at you to say, "Hey, you're going to do this or do that." That's impossible. I now mow the lawn 3 times a day. I'm going over freshly mown lawn to get a blower cut. It's ridiculous. I've got an issue, man.
Very good.
Okay, nice to see you guys. Thanks so much. Okay, time for letters to the editor. Hey Duncan, my name is Andy Shannon and I attended Westlake Boys High School. I was a year behind you and had friends that knew you. It may sound strange, but I have followed your career from early on and pleased to see that you have found your feet. So to the point. Your podcasts, etc. are great. You get to the point and tell it how it is. Your commentary on thuggery really pulls my strings as I have an 11 and 12-year-old boys. Hope they're doing well, mate. You're not a puppet anymore. I feel you're at the point where you can. It will make a real difference to this country. People leave New Zealand for many reasons. I love New Zealand. I won't complain about how it is. Instead, I'll encourage people to stay positive and say one day it will change. For those that complain, let them go to Australia. They have their own social problems there. You are a straight shooter. You get to the point, and with your background, you should be in politics. Your messages get to the heart, and people want action. The 80% of New Zealanders would agree with your comments and your policies, and not in any state, but firm and fair policy in around the economy, education, health, and law and order. It's a big ask. I feel I must speak out. I'm also challenging myself as I've come across some white crosses next to a road, and I feel that the cause of the accident was never investigated. By chance, I feel I may know why this occurred, but I'm dealing with the should I or shouldn't I raise it with authorities. Anyway, be good to hear from you. I hope I can at least trigger a thought. I feel my calling is helping others by helping others find their calling. Regards, Andy. Andy, great email. I have responded to you privately. I want to know more about the white crosses, and I'm willing to talk. So keep in touch with us, eh? And thank you for your kind words and your really positive words. Really, really quite humbling and really generous and kind of you. Thank you. Thank you so much. So many emails in the last few days. I will get through them. I'd like dozens and dozens of emails, so thank you so much. And the momentum's building here at Team Duncan. That's why we're asking you to subscribe. If you can, for $7.99 a month, we're asking you to text the word or my name, Duncan, to 3598, and we'll flick you the link and you guys sign up and you get extra content right the way through the month. $7.99 a month, not a week, a month, and you get all this extra content every week. Ask Me Anything sessions. I love some of your questions as well. Fantastic. So thank you for subscribing. For those that can't and won't and don't, it's fine. This will still be free, but with the subscriber model, you get extra content. And that's what you're paying for. So thank you for your support. Always appreciated. Thanks to my producers, Brody. Thank you, mate. Lockie. Bit of a mission getting here today. Harbour Bridge. When Harbour Bridge is closed, the country stops because that's the central link. It's State Highway 1. Anyway, thanks, folks. I appreciate your interest in getting in touch. Duncan at rover.nz is how you get hold of me. Remember, life's no dress rehearsal. No curtain raiser. This is it. We live in one of the best places on earth. So get out and enjoy it if you can. Thank you to the Brothers Green as well. Great guys, great products. Catch you next time. Ta-da.
Editor-in-Chief with Duncan Garner.
Thanks Thanks for listening to this episode of Duncan Garner, Editor-in-Chief, sponsored by the Brothers Green. Feed your gut what it needs. Digest Gut Health Protein Powder. I use it myself. It supports natural digestion and gut health. Made with premium Canterbury-grown hemp powder and a unique blend of active kiwifruit enzyme powder and kiwifruit skin extract, offering natural prebiotics and a nutrient-rich profile to complement a balanced lifestyle. Always read the label. Take as directed. Supplementary, of course, to a balanced diet. The Brothers Green, Christchurch.